Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in today to Izzy the Tech Guy. Today we'll continue our video 15 on joins. We're going to be discussing how to do inner joins, the syntax, and we're going to go ahead and walk through a few examples. And then after that, we're going to wrap up with doing a join on 2 tables, and then we're going to try to do a join on 3 tables. So without any other delays, let's go ahead and jump to w3school. I have it up right here. Again, in my past videos, showed you how to do a w3school. Go to tutorials, hit SQL, and then we'll be going to the tab that says SQL inner join. So the inner join keyword selects records that have matching values in both tables. So let's say, for instance, we have table 1 here, table 2 here. And what's going to happen again, if you want, take a screenshot of this. This is a good example. I know in last episode, I had, well, I'll go back here and show you. This had a great outline of when you see joins, like left joins, outer, like right here. Perfect. So different types of joins, inner, left, right, full outer join. So this is a good diagram to look at, to understand, visually look at, and see how to do joins and when you're doing a join, what it's doing. So basically, again, the inner join is basically taking where both records display in both tables. And here's a syntax for inner join. Again, you can put it all in one line, but just to make it easier on the eyes and easier to read and digest, I suggest doing it in this format. So this is the syntax. So you list out all the columns you want. The from table, this is the table that you're beginning. Since you're doing an inner join, it really doesn't matter which table, table 1, table 2. In this instance, as we get into a more advanced level, there's some tricks to putting certain tables in the from statement. And we'll in an advanced episode, if we're ever doing, we'll talk about that. But for now, just as a beginner, it doesn't really matter. Table 1 or table 2 or table 2 or table 1. And then after you have your from statement, then you put inner join. And I'm going to show you a little trick here. You don't always have to put the inner part. But if you want to be absolutely clear as what type of join is going on, then you put it. But you can just put down join. But for now, we'll just follow what W3school has here. So we have inner join, then we have our second table, and then what are you joining on? So in order to join from a table 1 to table 2, there has to be a column in both tables that have the values that represent the same exact thing. And as you go on, you'll run into this issue where there'll be tables out there that they will say like, oh, cust ID here, for example, customer ID here. And then another table will say customer ID as well, but it's two different values. It has the same name, but it's not the same values. Like this might be an actual ID assigned to the customer, and this might be, and another table might be a customer ID where it's a combination of the name of the customer and the date of birth or the last four of the social, something like that. So you got to be careful when you're doing your joins to make sure that the values in that column do mean the same thing. So they have a demonstration here of orders table and customers table. So this is like a quick overview of what the orders table look like. So the orders table, it has order ID, customer ID, employee ID, order date, and shipping date, shipper ID. So basically this has information related to the order. Now if you look at customer table, like the name says, it has information related to the customer table. Now let's say for instance, someone comes and asks you, hey, we need to see a certain, we need to see how many orders each customers have. That's when you need to do a join. You can just say, hey, customer 2 has, let's say for instance, all 3 of these were customer 2. Customer 2 has 3 orders. Great, but who is customer 2? So that's where it comes in play where it's like, okay, I need to join back to say, hey, Alfred Futchris, hopefully I'm saying the name right, has 3 orders or had orders between this date. You know, so that's when you join these tables, when one table has information and the other table has another information. So you want to merge those two together. So let's go ahead, scroll down some more. We're going to do some examples. So this one right here is doing an inner join between customer and orders table. So try it yourself. Let's go ahead and click that. Okay. So we see here we have select. So we're going to walk through this code. We're going to run it. Yeah, let's run it and then we'll walk through it. I'm just putting it in a format that I like seeing it. The way they have it is not wrong. Again, it's just for my eyes and the way I look at it, I want it in this format. So I have my select, I have my order ID and customer name. So let's run this and see what the output is. So if you look carefully, there's 196 records between both tables that match. That's what this output basically says. Now sometimes you can have duplicates, and if you do, that's where you want to throw in your distinct, and that'll return. Let's see if there was any duplicates. No, there's no duplicates. But that'll return, like let's say for whatever reason there's some tables, it might have this order twice as the order pending and the order complete. So the order ID shows up twice. But this instance, it doesn't have it. So and that's why I put the distinct in. So let's break this down. So from the orders table, I wanted to get the order ID, and from the customers table, I wanted the customer's name. You don't have to put the table name dot column name. You don't have to do that. However, if someone gets this and they want to make an update, it's going to be very hard to do that because they're not going to know where this came from, who's looking at this. It's going to be very difficult. So that's why it's best to either have the alias that you provided or the table name like they have here. So if you look here, in a previous chapter we talked about how to do aliases. If you look here, this table, orders table, does not have an alias. And an alias would look like this. I'll say like A, or if I want this to stand for order, I'll put OR. Something like that. That's basically what the alias is. And these don't. So, and just to show you, we can take this out. Run this, still same result. So you don't have to specifically say enter join, you can say join. So, and another thing I want to show you, let's just say you want everything from both tables. You just put an asterisk and that'll return every single column in both tables. And you run it, come on, run for me. There we go. So you see we get the order ID, customer ID, employee ID, order date, shipper date, customer name, and we don't get the customer ID from the customers table, but we get it here. Okay, so if we want to, let's say for instance, we want to do a count and see how many orders each customer have. So we could do something like this. Let's do customer name, So customer name, and then I'm gonna do a count. And what am I gonna count? If I'm not mistaken, every order is representing an order. Every order ID represents an order. So let me do this way. And then I'm gonna alias this order count. And then here, I need to do a group by. So let me do group by 1, and hopefully this runs. Hopefully everything's right from syntax, and it is. And then I want to start from the highest orders to the lowest because those will be our most valuable customers. So let's do order by 2 and descending. Let's see if this works. Okay, so Ernest, again, I'm bad with names, so hopefully I didn't butcher his name, had 10 orders. And then we see here some people at 7, we see here some people at 6. Scroll down some more. So there we see, okay, how many people have, we'll get a count of the orders. And let's say, let me come back here. Let's say we want to do something else. So let's scroll up here. Let's see, say we want to break it down by city. So how many, like basically people, like customers that we have in Berlin, how many orders are they placing? We can do that. So let's go back here. That'd be an interesting thing to see. All you have to do is change this. Again, you see again, I think this is a bad habit. Some people might not say it. I'm not putting down what table this is coming from. So if you're coming new here and you're like, man, what table is this coming from? You're not going to know. And I would recommend, even though you see I'm not doing it, put down the alias or put down the table name where it's coming from. It takes more work, but in the long run, it'll save you some time. Because sometimes, like again, I'm going to go back here, show you why that would be. Because you see here, And orders table has a customer ID, and a customer table it has customer ID. So you want to know which table you're getting it from. There can be other columns, like there can be like this order could have like a column where the order originating from, like so it can identify the shipping information. So it might have like city. So you're like, okay, which city am I pulling? And that can cause issues with the code as well. So it'll say something like it's ambiguous or something of that nature. Okay, so here, so this city is number one, has 10 different orders, Mexico, London, and it goes on. So that's something here we can see. Now, another thing we wanted to go over today, and then again, it's not going to be so long. Let me pull this up. Excuse me 1 second. I'm just getting the right. Another thing we wanted to do today, so we showed basically what we just did is a join on 2 tables. Let's go ahead and be bold and join on 3 different tables. Let me go over here. You know what? Let me open another tab just so I won't lose what we have. So, okay, here's a perfect example. They have it already for us. So here, let me take these. I'm cleaning up a little bit. So we're joining from kind of don't like that, but oh well. So we're going to join on 3 different tables. We're going to join on orders and we're going to join on shipper. I probably messed it up. Let me see here. Okay, I didn't mess it up. So we have the order ID, the customer name, and the shipper name. So who's shipping the package. And let's say, for instance, we can switch it up and let me walk through the code. So again, you see how they're referencing what table they're getting the columns from. So this order ID is coming from the orders table. Then customer name is coming from customers table. And shipper is coming from shipper name. And then let's look at the join. That's the most important part here. So here you see you have from orders. What table are you joining on? You're joining to the customers table. And how are you joining to the customer table? You're joining by the customer ID. So when customer ID from the orders table equal customer ID in the customers table, bring that results back. And also, since we're doing an inner join, if it's not between these 3 tables, it's not going to come back. And then let's join on shipper ID to shipper ID. So shipper ID from the orders table, and we did see that. Come back here. If we look at the orders table here, we did have shipper ID. So that's what we call foreign key. Okay, so we have shipper ID to shipper ID on the shippers table. And then we can do another thing here. So let's say, for instance, we don't want, we can specify here or we can specify in a where clause. Let's say, for instance, we don't want orders to come back. Let me see here. I'm just trying to pick something here. I think country. Let me run this here. All right, so let's say we don't want, I'm gonna select these 3, to bring back any records that were the countries in Poland, Norway, or Argentina. So we'll come here and we can do it here or we can do it in the where clause. I like doing it here. So and we'll say, what is it? What did I say again? It was, they have this parenthesis down here. I don't know. I never do it this way, but they're showing, let me show you what they mean. See how they have 2 open parens in the from statement, and then one's closed at this join and the other one's closed at the other join. I never do it that way, but we'll follow suit. So let's say customers dot country. Remember, we learned the end statement a while back. We do in, and let's close that parent so we don't get confused with that later on. And let's bring it down here. And let me paste those values here. So we have Poland. Since it's a string, we're going to put some single quotes next to it. And then we're going to go down to Norway. Delete, comma, Norway. And then what we're doing here, we are expecting to see less records because right now we have 196 coming back. We're expecting to see less. Not that much, but a little less. Okay, everything looks good. So basically what we're saying, bring everything back from orders and join everything from the orders table to the customers table where the customer ID equals a customer ID. And not only that, we want to say where the country is not in Poland, Norway, or Argentina, and then join to the shippers. And if this is correct, we're expecting to get 3 less. So we're at 196, so we'll expect 193. Run it exactly. We got 193 back. And then let's say, for instance, we want to play up here a little bit. We have the shipper name, and we want to, I'll put it here. I like grouping things together. And what I mean by that is like, since I'm concerned about the customers, again, this is not right or wrong. It's just preference here. Country, comma. So I'm adding country here. And then, oops, syntax error, syntax error. Let's dissect this and find out what's wrong. Okay, so we have orders, customers. You see what I messed up here? I reference customer when it's customers. Hopefully that fixed it. Yep. So bam. Here we go. So we have the order ID, the customer name, the country of the customer. And usually what I'll do, since this is not specific, I'll kind of do as country. Oops, some little typos here. I'll do something like that, just so it can be like specific. So I can just copy and paste this wherever I need to. So customer's country. Run it again. So you see order ID, customer's name, customer's country, and shipper name. So we have everything that we want here, and we join on 3 different tables. And I told you you can do this down below. Watch this. So take this out. And what I mean by down below, you can do it as a where clause. So come here, where, get rid of this and, customers country is not in any of these. Run this. Again, 193, same result comes back. So you can do it in the join statement or you can do it in a where clause. It's up to you. And this is basically how you do the inner join. And next week, let's see what we're going to look at next week. Let me pull that over. I think next week we're going to be tackling left joins, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Next week or next episode, we'll be discussing left joins and we'll go through that. And we'll do left joins on 2 tables and left join and an inner join on 3 tables. So the syntax will be the same as almost what we did here, but a little bit different. So hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. Again, this is where you're really putting down your query experience together. You're adding aggregate functions. You're adding like things that you put in the where statements, and you're doing the orders and group by. So it's all coming together. And this is like most of the SQL is just joining. You'll constantly be doing that a lot. So hopefully you enjoy this lesson and you guys have a good day. Thank you.